All right, we're on chapter 11. It's called The Whole Tooth, not the whole truth. So if you remember, his dad punished him for taking Johnny Astro by making him take piano lessons. All right, you ready? Piano lessons were a splendid idea, except that every Wednesday afternoon, when I could have been doing something really useful, like taking a bath or vacuuming my room, or sharing my sticks with and toys with Annabelle, I was going to Miss Emily's house alone, without Lucy, without Annabelle, and worst of all, without my firecracker man gear, or my PDK. I couldn't take anything. Now, Miss Emily was no ordinary piano teacher. She lived at the very end of the street where the trees hang low and the grass grew tall. The shadows stretched like tiny tentacles across the road, and her house looks like a face that sags sadly to the right. It does look like it sags, huh? Go straight to Miss Emily's, my mom said. She's expecting you. Don't stop anywhere. I might not have a problem going to Miss Emily's, that is, if we lived in a normal town, but we do not. A lot of famous dead people live here. And when you are famous, you don't get buried like a regular person under a stone that has your name and telephone number on it. You have to stay in your house and give tours. The way you know you're a famous dead person. The way to know where a famous dead person lives is to look for a sign on their front lawn that says it is their house. For example, at the end of our street, away from the end where Miss Emily lives, there's a big white house with a sign that says House of Ralph Waldo Emerson. Mr. Emerson was famous for writing essays, which is to say he got famous for doing a lot of English homework. Mr. Emerson died a long time ago, but he still lives in that house. On Thursday, he sweeps his walk. It is very creepy, but his is not the only house like that. There's the Orchard House, home of the Alcotts, where Louise May Alcott leads tours and shows where she used to write stories at the small desk. I've taken the tour with my family. She is definitely a dead author still in her house. So, those are two famous authors. Maybe I'll share something that they write. Calm down, my mom said when we were in the Orchard House. She is an actress dressed up as the author. I don't think so. It wasn't a show at all. It was for real. You could just tell that she had lived in the house, and her next door neighbor, Nathaniel Harthwart, was also famous for writing stories. Is a dead author still in his house? He has a sign outside that says Wayside. We didn't make it over there after touring Orchard House that day on account of I was scared so stiff I had to be carried home. So in a normal town, I would not have a problem going to Miss Emily's, but this town was not normal, and Miss Emily's house is not normal. There is a sign on her front lawn. So halfway there, I stopped dead in my tracks. I couldn't bear to get any closer. Boo! Said a voice. Ah! I screamed. It was Jules. It's hard to go anywhere without going past Jules' house, as if I mentioned, and Jules was out in the bushes. Out front. You're going to piano lessons? Asked Jules. Maybe. Looks like you were headed straight to piano lessons. Well, maybe I am and maybe I'm not, I said. No one walks this way except to go to piano lessons, says Jules. I see 'em coming and I see 'em going. Mostly they come, only luckily few ever go. What do you mean? I really don't know, said Jules. There are only rumors. What rumors? Jules looked down the street both ways and whispered, You know the witch with the yummy house who fattened the kids? I nodded. I sure hate that witch who fed Hansel and Gretel to fatten them up and then try to shove them in the oven. She was the most evil witch in the world, even worse than the one who gave Snow White the poisoned apple, on account that she had kept Hansel and Gretel in a cage, which, as everyone knows, could mean years of therapy for them. Just learn your skills, Jules said, but don't eat anything if she tries to feed you. You don't like brownies, do you? Brownies are my weakness. Brownies are her specialty, Jules continued. You're not going to last very long if you like brownies. I think Jules is teasing him. I gasped. Then I turned and dashed home. When I arrived at my yard, I was in luck. Annabelle was digging with my sticks, and Lucy was doing her yoga ball next to her. Lucy pats the ball on top of her front paw, stretches out in dog down position, then touches the tip of her nose to the ball. She can only hold the pose until the squirrels come home, or until Annabelle is finished digging holes. Annabelle, I shouted, come with me and bring Lucy too. Okay. Annabelle, come on, Luz. Annabelle is fantastic. She always comes when I ask, and she never questions why until she has figured it all out, which usually takes a while. Aren't you supposed to be going to piano lessons? She asked. And when we reached Jules' house, Jules was no longer in the bushes. I heard there were going to be snacks, I said. Just thought you might want to come along. Annabelle stopped. She put her hands on her hips. She put her left foot out like in the hokey pokey, which is her favorite dance. Remember when we did the hokey pokey? Then she looked at me sideways. Is that the tooth? Is that the tooth, Alvin Ho? The whole tooth? And nothing but the tooth? So help me God? She asked. Annabelle tapped her toe, waited for an answer. Okay, I'm allergic. And I finally coughed. Allergic to piano lessons? No, allergic to the piano teacher. Why? Asked Annabelle, puzzled. Does she have 3 fingers? 3 fingers? A piano teacher with 3 fingers is like an airplane with only 1 wing. I thought she was just the witch from Hansel and Gretel, I cried. Annabelle gasped. She hated that witch as much as I did. What are you going to do? Annabelle wanted to know. There's only one thing to do, I said. Capture her and tie her up. Hooray! Cried Annabelle. She sprang up and down. Then she did the hokey pokey foot again, which is not a good sign. Then what? She asked. Then we'll figure something out, I said. Annabelle shook her head. Take me home. Alvin Ho, she said. Take me home right now. But I need you, I pleaded. You're good with strangers. You're always nice, and they're nicer to me when you're with me. You might be Hansel, but I'm no Gretel, said Annabelle. I'm Annabelle Ho, and I dig holes. I don't sit in cages. Then Annabelle clung to the bush in front of Jules' house like a tick to flesh. I could not pry her free until I had promised to take her home. So I did. I took her home. Maybe it was the gentleman thing to do, but I don't know. I didn't care. She really was no use anyway. All balled up like that. Don't worry, said Annabelle when she was safely back in our yard and had unballed herself. Just hold your head high and be a gentleman. A gentleman? I needed to be Firecracker Man. but it was too late. I would never find all the pieces of my costume in time. I was already late. And late is not good if you're a gentleman, I think. So I turned and headed back towards the witch's creepy old house. Just as I was passing Jill's house again, something strange ambled out of Miss Emily's house and started coming towards me. I froze. It got closer and closer. My mouth opened, but nothing came out. "Mr. Ho," the figure called. "Are you little Master Ho?" I did not nod. I did not shake. I did not even breathe. I was not Mr. Ho. I was Alvin Ho. Mr. Ho was my dad. So who was this Master Ho? "Heavens, child, you look like you've seen a ghost," said the old woman who stopped in front of me. "We all know there are plenty of them around here," she cackled. It was only a little cackle, but it was a cackle just the same. "I'm Miss Emily. Your mother called and said you were on your way. We were both worried that you had not arrived yet." She was just as I imagined. She was 300 years old and a half. She was bent like a question mark towards the sidewalk, and she looked exactly like her pictures in the Complete Brother Grimm's Fairy Tales Deluxe Edition. There was no doubt that this was the very same witch who had fattened Hansel and Gretel and tried to feed them in the fire. She was the most evil witch in the world, and even worse for now, being disguised as a piano teacher. "Come on, sweetie," she said. "Sweetie, I put my foot down, just like Annabelle, in the hokey-pokey way. I was going nowhere. But then I caught a whiff of my foo-foo almond-scented hand lotion, which is very pleasant. Miss Emily smelled exactly like my foo-foo. Strangely, my feet began to move, and before I knew it, I was following her like her own shadow. If only Annabelle were with me, she would have helped me resist my following my nose, which I have no control over." Soon I was at the place where the trees hang low and the grass grows tall and the shadows spill like ink across the road. We floated past the sign in Miss Emily's yard that I couldn't read because we were moving too fast. Then we went right into the mouth of the house that sags sadly to the right. Inside it was a dark and stormy night. A painting of a young woman sitting at the piano stared straight at me. The enormous white head of Beethoven with blank eyes scowled angrily from the corner. A plate of brownies sat obediently on the coffee table, a glass of milk beside it. My eyes moved from the painting to Beethoven to the brownies, and they stayed on the brownies, which were perfectly dusted with the kind of sugar that looks like fresh fallen snow. My mouth watered. "Would you like a snack before we begin?" Miss Emily read my mind. "I made my special brownies quadruple. Quad means 4. Fudge. They're still warm from the oven." Oven? Oh, okay. There's a picture of inside. Gulp. "Just learn your skills," Joyce's voice echoed inside my ears. "But don't eat anything." I stepped back, then I tripped and fell over the piano bench. "Oh dear," cackled Miss Emily. It was only a little cackle. It was a witchy kind of cackle just the same. I was speechless. I didn't know what to say. If I had known that taking my dad's Johnny Astro would end up with me in such trouble, I would have never taken it. "Let me help you," said Miss Emily. Her bony hand and crooked fingers stretched towards me, closer and closer until I could see she only had 3 fingers. I can't tell you what my lesson was like after that on account that there was no lesson. I was completely froze like a piece of sausage off the track. He was so scared he was just froze. Man, he has some kind of imagination. I hope you enjoyed this chapter. Make sure you read the questions. Bye-bye.